Then we did not receive. That's why we have to make do to penetrate this position. Then the troops really were not successful because of the heavy volume of fire. They received in this open terrain instead.
Could you specify who the commanders were who refused the request?
I passed the request through the OIC PNP, sir. Then I was informed that he sent a text message to General Guerrero. That's what happened.
What time was that?
That was noon time, sir. I have that in, I do not know the exact date, sir, but it's in my cell phone that it could be seen because I did not delete all those text messages that I sent to help us.
Because of, before you jumped off, did you ever coordinate with the adjacent forces?
Not during jump off, sir, but when we reached this point, we did coordinate with the 6ID. We tried to call him. I tried calling him.
What time? What time is that? You tried calling him?
Yes, sir. I called him actually, sir, and sent him a text message in the morning.
What time was that?
That's about, can we see the timeline? That's about, ano yung timeline natin? Yung kanina?
Can you get an assistant?
It's okay, sir. That should be in between 3 to 4 in the morning, sir. That could be checked through the text message of the Pangilinan if he received that text message, sir.
What was the text of your message?
The text of the message, sir, is I am informing him that we are doing special operation against high-value targets in this area.
3 o'clock? 4? 3 or 4?
Yes, sir, something 3 to 4, something like that.
Says here at 5, your text message was received at 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:06.
Yes, sir, I'm sorry. I didn't really know the exact time when I sent the text message, sir, but then I sent it.
You have already started the operation?
Yes, sir.
At 0500, nandun na sa operation.
Yes, sir.
That's not coordination. You call that coordination?
If I may say something, sir. The operations that we've been doing against this subject, we started this one as early as 2013, sir. In sometime in March, February, or something like that, 2013, we did all the preparations of these operations in coordination with 6ID, including Quezon, sir. But then, we even had an executive session that it will be the PNP Special Action Force who will be carrying out the operations rather than the Quezon. But then, while our troops were moving away, we were not given the mechanized brigade support, so we have to cancel the operation. We did another 2 attempts to do the operations in coordination with 6ID, but then we did not get to. That's why, considering the sensitivity of this kind of target, this time in our task evaluation, task checklist, the coordination with 6ID should be time on target or while groups are in the area.
From the time of 2013 March, plus those other 2 attempts, did you report to whoever it was in the chain to coordinate other words, if SAF, if we felt that SAF was not receiving the support, I don't recall ever being called to a meeting with SecBots and the President to talk about lack of support.
Yes, sir. The first attempt, sometime in February or March, but the records is there, sir. I did report to the Chief PNP, and I believe, sir, that it reached the higher echelon about the non-support of the Mechanized Brigade during that first attempt, sir, in 2013.
What about so presumably, assuming that that happened, that there was never a meeting that was called to bring the various uniformed services together on this matter. So what about the other two attempts? Likewise, there was no...
It was all reported to the Chief PNP, sir, considering that these operations is not sanctioned not just the Chief PNP, but including the higher authorities.
You don't know that you talked to anybody higher than the Chief PNP?
No, sir, no, sir.
So you only talked to the Chief PNP at the time?
Yes, sir.
Who was?
General Purisima.
So in all these three attempts, your only conversation is with whom?
General Purisima, sir.
Now, for this last attempt, who did you coordinate with?
We were called.
I am SILG. I
Yes,
have not heard of these three attempts nor this last attempt. This involves 400 men. So who did you coordinate with?
General Purisima, sir, and
Who was
myself.
already?
On leave, sir, myself, Colonel Senior Superintendent Jojo Mendez, sir. And we briefed the President, sir.
And the guidance was?
The guidance was then to study in the initial offline, in the first offline.
Was there a guidance to keep this from the armed forces? Was there a guidance to keep this from the hierarchy of the PNP? Was there a guidance to keep this to yourselves?
My recommendation when I was briefing the President, sir, is we will inform the AFP time on target, sir.
So what is the status at present? Are all of the men except for these 26 already recovered or returned or accounted for?
Yes, sir, they are all accounted for. They are now providing security into the retrieval operations in the area, but they are all accounted for.
So they are still on site?
Yes, sir. Not all, sir, not all. Because the first...
Except for the dead, right?
Yes, except for the dead, and one unit, the 1st Battalion, we released them already, sir, because they are assigned in far areas.
Now is not the time to, I mean, the most important thing is to find out the care and welfare of this missing, if in fact they are dead. Let's find out who and what they are, and then if, as well as for the personnel to be Mendez is the IG person?
Yes.
Right. So the IG person, apparently the intelligence was good because the target, assuming that that's the target was where the intelligence said that they would be. So it's all in the execution now, correct?
Yes, sir. The execution went on smoothly already from this point up to the neutralization of the target. It's in the extraction, sir, that we were met by a lot of enemies coming from this area and even coming from other municipalities.
With whom did you file your concept of operations, your and all the other documents or tactical deployments and so on and so forth? With whom did you file that? Or did you have that with you?
It's in our computer, sir.
Huh?
It's in our computer, sir, with one of the officers.
That's it for now.
Today from Europe, we will have an executive session on the Philippine War
May I request, those are not